Hello, everyone. Mariposa Young here.
Yeah.
I am going to talk today about how to read astrology intuitively, and like see it as a form of divination, which it absolutely is, I think. And that's kind of a tough skill to just only talk about hypothetically. So, in order to talk about that, my good friend Faye has volunteered to uh, be able to read her chart intuitively. And I think we were having some technical issues, but I think I can hear Faye. Faye, why don't you say something?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I
We
got
got
that
it. We got it figured out. All
part.
right. So Faye is joining me, and let me give a little background on myself before we get started. I'm Mariposa Young, and I have been um, doing astrology and reading people's astrology birth charts and using astrology in different contexts for a very long time. So I will be 50 next year, and I have been actively doing this since my teens, and I have been doing it for money since my early 20s. So a really, really long time. And I was taught by my grandmother and my mother. Um, my mother and grandmother did this professionally as well. So the background on, first of all, astrology is a huge, huge topic, huge. And there are lots of different schools of thought or different ways to read it. So, just for those that are kind of deep into astrology, to give you some context, I practice tropical astrology, which is the most popular form in the Western world. Um, and I have more recently, I have used whole sign houses. But for this demonstration, I'm using some free software so that it's accessible to all of you. I have pretty expensive astrology software that you don't really have to use to get started. And this one uses the Placidus house system, which is pretty common as well. And then I uh, I am a more of the pre-modern era of interpretation, because I was taught by people using astrology definitions and books that were closer to the last turn of the century, from the 1900s. So that means houses have their own definitions, and they're not just lumped into signs. So that's just a little background about me. And I think that it is really important to have kind of a knowledge base when you do any kind of divination, including astrology, of like what things mean, the symbols, and all that. And that just takes practice and study. And then there's something else going on that gets layered on top of that knowledge. And that's what we're focused on today, that I'm going to show you by reading Faye's chart. So I want to confirm some things with Faye. Faye, while I have read for you before, like your palm, have I ever done your astrology chart before?
No.
Okay. And have you had your astrology chart read before?
Nope.
No, so you're a newbie. You're
I'm
so
a newbie.
new. And that's great. She can like confirm or deny. some things that I might say. And I purposefully didn't look at her chart before now, just so I wouldn't. If it's fresh, I'm bound to say more than if I like looked at it and analyzed it. I might gloss over some things, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to share my screen now. And as you can see, I got this chart from Astrology. It's one of my more favorite websites to use for astrology. They do free birth charts and they have some ephemerises and tell you like where things will be in space in the future or in the past. So they're really good. I like them. I recommend them. And I'm using them for this. So looks like Faye is a Sagittarius rising. This ASC point is the rising line in her chart, and it's in the sign of Sagittarius. So this is the point where the horizon is in the east at the moment of your birth, where the sky meets the earth. Okay. So you're kind of like in the middle of this square when you're born, and this is where everything is around the earth, around you, in the sky, the planets, and in what signs they are in the way far background, which are constellations. Okay. So Faye is a Sagittarius rising. Let's talk about her big three first: her rising, her sun, and her moon. And her sun sign is in Aquarius here, and it's right on the cusp, but we're making it into the third house for the sun. See, these numbers are the houses. That's just like what slice of pie are these things in. And then we have the moon in Virgo in the ninth house. The moon is super important because Faye was born at night. So the moon is her luminary, right? It lights up her whole chart. Like, here is the night sky when Faye was born, and the moon is visible everywhere here, lighting up everything here. And the sun is not visible. So the sun would be considered to be in a hard place, right? So in detriment, but also in a hard place because it's in Aquarius. Sorry, Aquarians. But the sun really is our motivation and our ability to shine and put ourselves out there and be focused on our concerns. And all of that is kind of challenging for Aquarians because they're kind of critical of like all those actions in other people, in society, so it's difficult for them to shine. It's kind of like only for a good cause or something like that should they shine, is how they think. And then for Faye, it's in further detriment because it's in a night chart that it's, below the horizon line. Okay. So in Faye's whole life about her sun sign, she really needs to be motivated for factors outside of herself and that involve the collective, that involve her family, that involve, the greater good. So those are going to be way better motivating factors and enable her to put herself out there. The moon is always more about our inner lives, our inner psychology, even our, like our inner health, our inner constitution. Has to do with memory, has to do with dreams. It's pretty nostalgic and everything. The moon does not have the funnest time in in Virgo because Virgo is very detail orientated, very organized, very task orientated, and those aren't easy areas for the moon action to be. The moon is more internal, whether or not you take action, right? So I love that it's in Faye's 9th house. I didn't say much about the houses for the sun though, so let me back up. So for the sun, it's just barely in the 3rd house, and the 3rd house is about communication and like your neighborhood, like short range travel, and also your relationship with peers, like siblings and best friends and stuff like that. So I think the sun is in a hard place. So I think those matters are where Faye can truly shine, but also has the most challenges around. And then it's so close to the 2nd house, which has to do with money and possessions and things like that. So we're kind of approaching that. You might be Faye might be a little bit more motivated for gathering resources, making money than other things. So then on to the moon being in the 9th house. The 9th house is about higher education, philosophy, and long range travel, like foreign travel. And so that Virgo really stabilizes that and keeps the matters of the moon really practical and real, even if you're being philosophical. And you sell like crystals and jewelry and stuff, which can have a lot of import and meaning, deeper meaning for you and other people. But at the end of the day, it's still things that you're selling, right? It's still actual objects, which is really great for Virgo. Okay, because Virgo wants to deal with real things, not imaginary things, which the moon likes. Okay, and your midheaven, which is that bold line next to your moon, your midheaven is all about career. Like, how can we advise you about career? And you have the moon there, which I would be like, you should do something mystical, but not too mystical because we got that Virgo, right? And midheaven is in Virgo. And then you have Pluto right next to there. And that is, Pluto is tough. Pluto is all about transformation. But the thing about transformation is that it's always uncomfortable. It can be kind of, you got to destroy everything first and then do the new. Think about a butterfly, right? It's got to be like a pile of goo before it's a butterfly. And gee, I hope there's no pain involved. But on the human level, there is often pain associated with Pluto. The good news is that when you were born, Pluto was in retrograde. So that softens Pluto quite a bit. It slows down its transformative action. But for your career, if you are not having work that is transformative to yourself or others, you're not interested. So that's a pretty
Nope.
high bar. What do you think about that, Faye?
They're definitely right. Not interested if it's not.
It's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I try
So-
to make everything interesting.
Right. It's not just interesting though, but like able to change your life or able to change others' lives.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah, not just like entertaining, interesting, but
No, not at all.
more deep diving interesting.
Yeah.
And then you have a little bit of a pileup in your 10th house and also opposite there in your 4th house and a little bit in your 5th house. Okay, so most of your planets are kind of on this opposite end, right? And the moon, this part is going to be more relevant and important to you because it's close to your moon, which is the luminary of your chart. I just realized I am not saying anything about like knowledge, like background knowledge about astrology, what I'm saying, and like zings about you personally. What I'm saying. And it's really hard to untangle that. So I'll tell you what, I'll try and tack it on at the end, okay?
Okay.
I'll just go forward like I usually do. Okay, so we have Jupiter, we have Uranus, we have the south node of the moon, and we have Pluto, all in your 10th house. The 10th house is all about your career and your public identity. To have so much outer planets going on out there in your 10th house means that probably what is normal or typical or whatever for career progression for other people is not that way for you. That you're going against the norm. And all of them are in retrograde. That's what those little R's are. The nodes are always retrograde though, so that doesn't matter. Uranus is the planet of sudden change, but also like eureka, like invention and creativity. And you have it in Libra. Libra is always trying to seek out balance and harmony and participation with the collective. And having Uranus in Libra is kind of schizophrenic. It's I mean, because Uranus really kind of depends on the individual experience to create, but also speaks to sudden changes that affect the whole collective. Like an invention can do that, but also a natural disaster can do that, right? And Libra, if it likes anything, it likes harmony. So it doesn't, even for a good reason, it does not like volatility. So there's a real like push-pull there. The good news is though, is that Uranus is in retrograde, which means that it's very, it's very slowed in its action, and it tends to be more inventive, innovative, scientific when it's in retrograde. So with your career house, though, it's like, I want to do things differently than
Yep.
other people do them. I don't want to do this standard career path or whatever.
Nope.
So that is that's what that's about. And then Jupiter is like a benefic planet, and it's always about expansion, leadership, even excess, abundance, things going on like that. But when it is in retrograde, it's really crippled with that positive action. And there's a little more like I see Jupiter as the king, right? Or the queen, and the royalty. So when it's in retrograde, it's kind of like the problems with that, like being tyrannical, being overly bossy, being overly indulgent, being aggressive in your expansion, like too aggressive, right? Colonizer. But it's in Libra, which again does not like extremes. It really likes balance. That glyph of Libra is supposed to be the scales. So we really want to like balance things out. So that helps you not get into trouble with the dark side of Jupiter. But still, there is kind of a challenges with expanding your career, challenges with leading in your career, even with that stabilizing Libra. So on the opposite side of the chart, and first off, your nodes are just about exactly in the same place as my nodes are. So I can really speak from personal experience here. But first, let me tell you what the nodes are about. These are not real things. These are the magnetic poles of the moon and where they are in relation to you when you are born. So this is the south node, and you got to think of it in terms of a magnet, south and north, and not actual south and north. So you have south node in career, you have north node in fourth house. So south node can be about past lives. Say something about your past lives. And north node can mean what you are supposed to be working on in this life, the most important mission for you, as it were. South node can be loss, things that we lose or that are hard for us or challenging for us. And then north node are things that are kind of easier for us and more expansive for us. Easier to change, I would say. And they're always opposite each other, right? As a magnetic pole would be. So in the 10th house, having the south node, it might be that your very most previous past life, you were a real success with your career. And you were big time, you know what I mean? Like maybe well known, maybe, excuse me, maybe wealthy, wealthy with your career. Ooh, that just got right up in my nose. So there's a lot of success in a past life, and in this life, there might be loss. There might be not success, there might be failure. There might be difficulty in career matters. Why? Because spirit is like, this is not your mission. You need to get off of this subject or this part of life.
Yeah.
So then the North Node is in the fourth house. The fourth house, as an opposite to the 10th house, is about your home and family life. What you consider home, your literal home, and also the people in your home, like the people closest to you. Okay. So, not just family, like any family, but the family you live with. Okay. It can be a lot about parents because parents are, you live with your parents the most in your life and share a home. Um, and then also, if you become a parent, you are that role as a parent in your home for an extended amount of time. So it can have a lot to do with parenthood. And we have everything here, these four things in Aries. So Aries is very action orientated. Like, I'd rather do things than mishmash talk about it. It's very active. It's also very positive. It's also very energetic. Like, wouldn't it be great if we did this and that activity or, that thing or whatever? It can mean a lot of rearranging in the home. We're going to move the furniture. We're going to paint the walls. We're going to, you know, there can be a real passion for renovating. And there can also be a passion for, moving. Because for Aries, home is where the heart is. It's not really so much the physical place. And with parenthood, that whole topic, it's really kind of positive leadership is your main goal with parenthood, and positive leadership is what you respond to the most with your parents. And yeah, so we have Chiron there, which Chiron is the unhealed healer. There are some topics about home life that are probably a struggle your whole life. And it's not a one and done solution, it's not easily fixed. And it gives you great insight into helping other people with their matters of their home. Because you have some unique healings to offer other people that are not necessarily open to you. Okay. So there can be kind of like struggle because Chiron is here, because the South Node is here. There can be struggle in both areas of life. There might be a constant, like, feeling like, if I work on my career, I'm sacrificing my home life. If I work on my home life, I'm sacrificing my ability to make money. So it's a toughness. And then your Venus is here. Venus in Aries is so passionate and, kind of the consummate lover, just so wonderful that way. And it's in your fourth house. So you still want to bring that in to your home, that energy, and keep it there, close to you. And it's not really, you're not really into PDA or being super public with your love life or who you love. And you'd really rather that just be a home matter. And then we have Saturn here, which is still in Aries, but it moves into your fifth house. And Saturn is Saturn is where we have limits, where we place limits on ourselves, like limiting beliefs, where we experience karma, as in the consequence of our actions, where we kind of get the smackdown, from the universe when we are not doing the right things or the best things or what's right for us. Saturn, though, is a great place to look at for the strengths in your ability to organize and to, kind of like structure things in your life. So you have Saturn in the fifth house, which is funny because the fifth house is all about play, creativity, even fertility. Is the fifth house. And you have Aries, which, oh my gosh, Aries is so grumpy in Saturn because Aries likes to be spontaneous and action orientated, and Saturn is very now hold on, now we got to take this step by step, you know what I mean? It's really annoying. So there might be a lot of you really like structured play, probably like board games or video games or whatever.
Yep.
Really, really, really like games with structure. And then there's also maybe a nagging frustration with that structure as well. Like, why can't I just blah, blah, blah? Okay.
Yep.
So this is all very personal to you, and this is all very public to you. The matters of the ninth and 10th house, matters of the fourth and fifth house. And again, there's always a constant opposition between those matters. Like if I'm doing this, then I'm not working on that. And if I'm working on this, I'm not doing that for fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think you just have to accept that that's going on, like, and not so much worry about it. Because there is such these red lines mean an opposition by degree. Like here it shows you all the degrees everything's in. And if they are, by degree, like geometry, totally the opposite, it will be a red line. And it looks like this point right here that affects Uranus is in opposition to Chiron. I think that stuff with family issues have affected your business or ability to innovate and have really taken your breath away. Like you're like, what? And that is probably something that happens more than once in your life, unfortunately. Then for your sun, Mercury is in the same sign. It's not super close to your sun, so it's not like really close conjunction. But they are in the same sign. And you were born during a Mercury retrograde. So whenever Mercury is in retrograde, and it goes in retrograde about 3 times a year for about 3 weeks, that is your time to shine, Faye.
Really?
It's like opposite day. Everybody else is moaning about Mercury retrograde, and you're like, wow, everything's just kind of working for me right now.
It's like they're all going, woe's me, and I'm thinking, I feel great.
Right. Yeah. So for you, when Mercury goes retrograde, it is like pull out all the stops, go forward, sign the contracts, do the business, blah, blah, blah.
I think that was when all the fairs and stuff were going. It was like Chiquini. So winning lottery
Yes.
ticket.
Yes. And also schedule yourself a lot, like do all the things, right?
Yeah.
Most people are like, experience a lot of difficulty, but you're going to be opposite day and don't.
Yeah.
It also might mean that there's something unusual about how you communicate, especially about money, because this is the money house. So there's something unusual about how you communicate with business. And this is great if you own your own business because it helps you stand out.
That's the goal, to get this
So
to be my own business.
so you don't do the typical marketing advice or selling advice. Does not work for you.
No.
So don't do it and just do your own thing because you got
Yep.
this.
Yep.
Got
Definitely.
this. And then these blue lines are trines. Well, this one is because there's like 3 signs apart, kind of configuration. It's kind of like an oblique angle. Anyway, trines are very lucky and very fortuitous, and you have it between here and your south node, which is weird. And maybe also Pluto. So if you keep it about transformation, if you somehow turn your business losses into an advantage or a plus, that is where the money is for you.
Okay.
And then we have uh Mars and Neptune close to your rising in Scorpio. So your rising sign is how other people seem to interpret you on first meeting. And Sagittarius is very fun, social, motivating, idealistic, almost like naive, you know, it's like, yeah, let's do this. And not really concerned with the how, just the what, like, what do we want to do? Party. When do we want to do it? All the time, or, what is a party, Mr. Sagittarius? Oh, it's just dancing in my living room. That's a party. So, anyway, that's Sagittarius. So it can mean that people think you are less serious minded than you truly are with that sun in Aquarius and that moon in Virgo. And so that's their mistake, though. That's their mistake. But Sagittarius is very magnetic, right? Is very, able to bring in people to them, right? So I like that. What I don't like is Mars in the 12th house. The 12th house, if we can know anything about your mental health status, your psychological, emotional challenges, it's going to be in the 12th house. 12th house is about not just your psychology. It's kind of like a related to the moon matters that way, but it's usually in a like where your psychology meets the psychology of the collective, and that can be in a good way or that can be in a bad way. When it's in a bad way, there's more challenges with that. And Mars doesn't want to be in the 12th house. Mars is the planet of action. And and it's square, this red line, to your sun. So it's probably like you have a hard time getting going. You can like get really inactive in just like deep diving in your own psychology, which is Scorpio, really plumbing the depths, right? And then Neptune there is also about like Neptune in the 12th house is great because it's like you have like gifts, spiritual gifts, and you can navigate the spiritual plane or the, your psychic abilities or whatever pretty well. But that Mars is like, I would rather just think about it than do it. And then that interferes with your expression because it's countering the moon or the sun. So, like, other people don't realize that you have this going on because it's right by your ascendant, right? So this is another way that people underestimate you or misread you, is that there's a lot of depth going on and inner exploration. And it's not really being, it's kind of like a frustrated expression with that Sagittarius. So you do have support though, because there's this nice trine with your moon. So if you can do it in as part of business, as part of your learning and philosophy, those kind of things, that's great. But too
I
much
think that's
time,
why I lean so hard into the business lately.
yeah, too much time on her own to think about stuff is no good for Faye.
Yeah, that's why I go directly into business. Okay, let's just do this.
Yes, that's good. That is really, really good. Okay. All right. So I have to say, probably 90% of what I just said had so much to do with my background knowledge of astrology. And then sometimes I was getting zings, especially about Chiron and its relationship to Uranus. This Pluto moon closeness conjunction here. Because just in my mind's eye, I just kind of saw you super critical and rejecting work or careers or whatever that were like, superficial to you, like not important, not transformative, not like who gives a crap about this work? A trained monkey could do this work. And so you don't like it. And I really kind of saw your face being like, ugh, that's yucky. When I was
hour for past.
always,
Always.
always. Even now, like if your work, if you don't think there's a bigger purpose to it, even now there's tasks that you're like, ugh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I did do that.
Yeah. So I got zings around this, and around this, and I it kind of reminded me of the family stuff that challenges I shared with you in your palm reading the last time I did. And we don't have to get into that, but is just kind of like a movie in my mind of that situation, and that probably isn't the first time something like that has happened for you or the last time something like that would happen. So that sucks. And then I didn't read these things. These are asteroids that are just really not that important. I will say something about this strong line and this strong line. So this is your descendant. It's where the horizon ends on the western side when you were born, where the sky meets the earth, and where the ascendant is all about you, like how you come across, how you even look, those kind of things. The descendant is about how you are in relationship with your closest relationships, like your spouse or your business partner, or something like that.
That would be the same person.
Yeah, well, it's in Gemini, so communication with those people is super duper duper important to you.
Yeah.
Like, if there's no communication, there's no relationship.
No. No. No point.
Because Gemini is such a communicative sign. It's also like a mutable, changeable sign. So you're pretty flexible about, kind of the ups and downs that happen in a marriage, or the ups and downs that happen in a business partnership. You're you ride those out really well. Like, it's not like they're nothing, but you're like, kind of like, of course there's going to be things that come up, and
Yep.
as long as we talk through them, everything will be fine.
That's all you can do.
Right. And then for your icy, this is the opposite of your midheaven. So this has so much to do with career, and this has so much to do with your inner private self, right? It's totally the opposite. It's like the opposition between the 10th house and the 4th house. And so yours is in Pisces, which is a very magical, mystical realm.
See, I like
So
that.
it is very dreamy and a beautiful inner world, and way more practical and active outside um doing stuff thing. So that matches what I know of you, that those are you. Yeah. So do you have any questions?
Not really. It's still a little hard to understand some of it, but
Yeah, well, I think sometimes I err on the side of being too explainy of my background knowledge, and less practical. But I hope I'm still saying stuff that resonates with you, and that
yeah,
is
definitely.
is useful. Like, what can I do with this? Well, and then, there's some things that you can use quite well, like this Mercury, that you were born during a retrograde. Um, so that is actually really a gift, because you kind of you can kind of communicate in unusual ways, and you can shine when others are kind of struggling in the area of communication. Yeah, so um I think for astrology, um, or any form of divination, it is good to have the background knowledge of whatever it is. And, like, this means that and everything like that. And then you kind of psychically, you kind of like lean on that. And then that kind of inspires some zings to come through about certain topics. Um, about certain arrangements of the symbols that you're just reading regularly. And then if you do it for a super long time, like I have, you're like, is that really from my background knowledge or is that just like a zing? I'm not even totally 100% sure or can evaluate myself so well. Um, so it's hard to say. And I know that it's hard for you to weigh in because you don't have background knowledge, but I hope this was useful as
Yeah.
to like kind of like foreknowledge, not really foreknowledge, but like knowing yourself better helps you like navigate, right? Because you can
Yeah.
like accept things that the way they are and move accordingly.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I do my cards every day and they keep telling me I gotta keep following through with my stuff and not lay on my butt. So
yeah, this Mars in 12th is very lay on your butt.
yeah, I just gotta get up, just push through
But I think you've in the last couple of years you've really um done great with the gems.
Yeah. Yeah, every year it gets better. We're gonna hit the big fairs next year, so and kind of cut out all these little tiny ones. I mean, because it's just physically it's rough. But for the tank going up and down. But if I can hit these big fairs, I can cut all these little tiny ones out of the way. And that would actually push me forward. Thing is, I gotta find somebody who knows how to do computers because I know nothing.
Yeah.
As you can see.
What about your spouse?
Nope. We are two 70s. No way. I just
Oh,
can't push through it for some reason. He can't either. They go, well, work on your dashboard. Okay, well, what is that? So I said that, I mean, we are hands-on, literally. We can take anything and do anything hands-on. But it comes to computer, forget it. That's just right over our heads, both of us.
oh,
So no, we're both hands-on.
yeah.
Like,
But
we can both take
is
anything.
there is some unique dangers bringing people into business. You
Yeah,
gotta
I
be
know.
really, really careful who you lean on.
Yeah, I know. That's why I just want someone to help me with the computer stuff and I can do the rest. But that luck is not helping me though.
Yeah, I would advise either getting piecemeal help, like just for one task or one
Yeah.
thing, and there are websites where you can get that quick help,
Okay.
like Fiverr, that is spelled Fiverr with two
Fiber.
R's. Yeah, Fiverr. Like I give you a $5 bill,
Yeah.
and it's really small tasks, and just only to do this one thing on the computer, and then you're done with that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I advise doing something like that, or you bring on another partner that does all that stuff, but it's somebody you super trust.
Yeah. Well, I do have one friend, but I kind of, I guess we're just missing each other. They're trying. I haven't asked yet because that's what her and her husband do. They do internet business.
Yeah.
And they do internets for everybody else, and they're both preachers.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, hello.
Well, I love that you've encountered them first as friends. So
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah, definitely.
So
I don't want to just come across any schmo and go, hey, here's all my stuff.
right, right. Yeah. 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 So just be cautious. It's not like you can't find help or good help
Yeah,
or whatever, but
I will.
just be super careful with that.
Yeah,
And for sure, just get help when you need help instead of like trying to struggle through.
yeah, because that's the only thing. If I can get a bigger website, I can have my cards and everything else. I just can't proceed unless I get that website. And I just got to get a hold of my friend again and tell her, please. Once I get that going, then when I do all the fairs, I can throw all my cards at everybody. And get
Right.
this way, I'll have a catalog, and we're doing a lot of new launchings. I mean, we're doing stuff for pets now.
Oh,
You
that's
know?
great.
Oh yeah, where you just clip it on their little chain if they got anxiety or whatever. You just clip it on their little thing, and they go on their little happy way.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
love that.
so now we're getting ready to launch another line. So I said we're very hands-on. Very.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's all really great. And I think that is going to be most of your energy and time in life will
Yeah.
be like career or family, not
Yeah.
any other topics. All right. Well, I think we will wrap up, Faye. I'm so appreciative of you letting me use you for
Oh,
example.
thank you. I appreciate
I, I really loved it, and I always love hanging out with you. So
it.
I'll see you around, okay?
Okay. See you
All
around.
right.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Bye.
Bye.